So you guys ready?
I don't know, but here we
Do you
go.
get to record?
I don't know.
All right. Recording in 3, 2, 1.
War. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again. Oh, war. Good God, y'all. That was a song. Sorry, I just thought I was Edwin Starr for a second. That was a song the hippies were doing back in Vietnam. You know, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that one. It was a fun, kind of over the top, kind of animated song. But, you know, it's pretty horrible lyrics, and they're horribly true, unfortunately. And today, folks, we're going to talk about World War II here on Controversy of the Day with Logan and Jay. Where am I at? Where am I at? What are we doing? And, you know, so I thought about that Edwin Starr song, and there's a few other songs to think about. And, you know, so those kids, they were hippies back then, the boomers, you know, and they were singing it during the Vietnam era. And sometime we may do a thing about Vietnam as well. And, you know, it makes you think about just the big picture, you know, and we as humanity. Before I get directly into World War II, I mean, let's just take a step and, you know, just think about us as humans. I mean, it's kind of sad, isn't it, man? You know, it's just really sad. Do you ever just think about that sometime? Like, we're just these warring species.
Yep.
It doesn't.
Just power.
Yeah.
Control. I want what you want. Give it to me.
You know, and all the things we've improved upon, all the tech, all the blah, 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 blah that we've done, and, you know, roads and going to...
Just better ways to kill you.
Yeah, and then, yeah, the sin and the ways to kill follows the tech. No matter if the tech's to, you know, have running water or good things or, you know, electricity, blah, blah, blah. But you're right, the violence and the mayhem, it keeps following, you know, and we're not shooting arrows or using spears or swords anymore, you know, but it's utterly amazing. It's utterly amazing. Here we are. We've improved so much as humans, and yet we still keep warring and killing each other. And I mean, it's when you think, you step back, you just want to bow your head and like, wow, like, we really suck. You know, we're really terrible. We waste so much energy to kill each other, to get ready to kill each other. I mean, wow, it's really awful. I want to just go down a little rabbit hole real quick. I'll try to make this really fast. I was lucky enough, a friend of mine, a Vietnam vet named Bruce. Bruce, if you're listening, hope you're doing good, buddy. Bruce, a great guy, boomer. He got me to come to this discussion group. And there's this older guy there. It was all about him, Bob Sanders. And he had some health issues, and his wife, Betty, had put this together. Years ago, they were radio talk show hosts in Chicago and Milwaukee, Bob and Betty Sanders, for those listening right now. Anyway, it was a great discussion group, and Bob would he'd come back to the same question. And I'll throw it at you, Logan, just give you a little pop quiz here. Will we ever be without wars?
No, absolutely not. It's. I don't even think it's about war and killing. It's just about money, about power. That's all it is. Imagine the disruption it would create in our economy. I mean, our economy is largely based on making weapons or any kind of tech that goes towards making weapons. You know, I mean, look at what we're doing in Ukraine right now. Look at all of our tax money that's going over there to help another country support their bureaucracy, the pensions for their government people, you know, all kinds of stuff that's not really going towards anything for a war. And the only evidence we have of this war is a couple of sound bites and a little bit of this, that, and the other. I mean, what really is going on over there? Is it as bad as they say it is? I guess is my question.
Yeah. I mean, and here we are, and I used to say that when this he's not with us anymore, but when this Bob Sanders when he could throw that out there, I'd say no. Yeah, and I give a bunch of reasons why too. That no, we're not going to stop, which is really sad. And I'd love to be wrong about a lot of things we talk about. I would love to be wrong, and we're going to talk about World War II today, but I thought we'd go into it, you know, talk a little bit about war in itself. And, you know, maybe we are on the precipice. We're on the edge right now of going into World War III, folks. You know, Michael Bechlaw says, oh, Trump's going to kill your children. He's not president. He might be again shortly, Michael Bechlaw's. But Joe Biden and was it Lloyd Austin and Anthony Blinken, I think they're stumbling us right into World War III. And that's what I worry about, you know, with Ukraine. We got the whole Taiwan threat. Got North Korea fun, the whole Gaza Strip thing. I mean, there's just so much, and there's probably going to be way more to come. So it's good to look back a little bit. You know, what's that old line? There's so many cliches here, right?
History repeats itself.
There you go, buddy. History repeats itself. And what they say, people are, if they don't learn from history, they're doomed to repeat it. There's that line. Then Mark Twain's got a little bit of a smart aleck line. I forget how it goes. I'm gonna misquote Mark or Sam Clemens. I think was his real name. Something like, what did he say? He goes, I can't do him, but you know, I think he had a southern accent. I think he was from Missouri, yeah, history doesn't necessarily repeat itself, but it sure does rhyme. That's what he would. Yeah, I think he did some kind of thing like that. But yeah, I mean, it's really in there is the past prologue too. It's another famous one. So all these great lines. I don't know all the writers, but you've heard these lines, folks, and you know, you just kind of wonder, man. You just kind of wonder where we're at right now. There's so many things going on that could just get worse at any minute. Let's hope they don't. But so let's take a little look back at World War II, and I have to say, folks, I got a lot of anger here, a lot of frustration about this, and a lot of issues. If you've been a listener, a viewer of our program here on YouTube, also check us out on Rumble. By the way, please check us out on Rumble, and there'll be other platforms as well in the future. So, Logan, you know, I grew up as a kid, and I don't know if you did too. Like, I saw a lot of those old black and white movies. They got the movies, but they got the black and white videos, and they do these documentaries, and a narrator would be telling you what's happening. You have no idea if the battle footage they're showing you is the actual battle or not. You don't know, but you know, you're going along with it. And you know, my grandfather's fought in that war, and you know, very proud of that and everything. But then you look back later, like guys like you and I, and I'm sure some of our viewers, you know, you do some reading, a little research here and there, and all of a sudden you find something funny here, a little something funny there, and it just kind of bothers you. And that's why I wanted to do this one today, you know, if you don't mind. And so, looking back on it, we had the 1930s, and Germany was coming out of World War I. And they just been beat down, and their economy was a mess, and they had hyperinflation, I guess. And then this National Socialist Party started to get prominence. And Adolf Hitler, a World War I, veteran for the German war, he tapped into this anger and how the German pride had been so beat down. And he tapped into this, and he, you know, wanted to try to lift them up. And he was just incredibly, you know, obviously Hitler's an evil dude, but incredibly charismatic leader. You know, I mean, there's all the footage. Again, I don't know what he's saying. You said you've watched some translated speeches and stuff like that.
And a lot of it's about just nationalism. Again, like you said, rising up of Germany. You know, bringing back, you know, power to his people, to his country rather. Yeah, it's inspirational if you didn't know who was saying it. You know, if you were to change some of the words to match what's going on today, you know, it would sound almost inspirational. And I could see why his rise was as popular as it was.
And so, you know, you have all that happening, and you had some world leaders even saying positive things about him, believe it or not. A lot of people don't know this, but it's true. I think there was actually a Nazi rally. Yes, a Nazi rally, I think sometime in the 30s in Madison Square Garden in New York City. And did Madison Square Garden exist then? I'm not sure the history of the MSG, but holy cow! I mean, so that's some crazy stuff. You know, there was other world leaders that were actually supportive of him. Winston Churchill said nice things about Hitler. I mean, just crazy kind of stuff. And then Hitler, you know, then he kind of turned on everybody, and he went into Poland, and he was going into all the neighbors in Austria, and then the whole thing got out of hand. Now, what a lot of people don't know about the United States, and I just want to repeat this for history, the United States, the people wanted nothing to do with World War II, folks. Not a lot of people know about that, or at least doesn't get talked about much, because we like to think about, oh no, we were the Allies, and we went and saved the world, and we did. Of course, Russia was big. Soviet Union was a big part of that too, and they lost more people than any other country, by the way. But my point here is that, you know, a lot of people think of I don't know, the hippies and stuff being anti-war during Vietnam, you know, but no, this anti-war stuff goes way back. there was an incident, and I wish I had. I'll another time I'll have the year here. It was after World War One, and many of the veterans of World War One actually protested and marched on Washington D.C. and our own military had to, kind of stand them down and face, guys who already had just served, because there were a lot of promises made to our veterans after World War One. So we, as a country, a lot of people here want nothing to do with World War II. We're like, that's them. We don't want to go back there again and lose people, and people lose their limbs, and you know what I mean. And by the way, my great grandfathers did fight in World War One. Actually, one of my grandfathers, I have to brag, Emil was his name. Emil, can you imagine that? Emil, they naming a kid Emil. Yeah, he was a Purple Heart recipient. But anyway, so you have all this remnants of World War One, and then and Americans, I don't think really cared. At the time, there may have been prominent Americans who actually been pro-Nazi Germany. Henry Ford said some things. And Henry Ford's an interesting dude, just did some great stuff, but I don't know. He may have had this other side to him. Joseph P. Kennedy, the father of later John F. Kennedy and RFK, and he had been grandfather of RFK Jr., who's currently running for president. He may have been a little bit pro-Nazi at the time. So there was a little bit of ambiguity, or Americans being neutral about the whole thing in the 30s, even though over here all this trouble was going on. And so, the world didn't move as fast, and then the news cycle didn't move as fast. So we probably didn't know enough of what was going on. Well, then, boom, zoom to the moon. December 7th, I think it was December 7th, 1941 happens, and that's Pearl Harbor. And there had been tensions over oil trade and stuff going on with Japan. And Japan, of course, had joined the Nazis with Italy, as they were the Axis of evil, or whatever people were calling them. And when Pearl Harbor happened, then boom, then all these guys, enlisted, and then everybody was drafted, and including my grandfather, both my grandfathers, and then boom, we were in it. And then we were a part of the whole thing, And do you want to add anything here before I keep talking? Because I know I got a lot of different points to make here. I don't want to dominate too much at this point, but
well, why do you think Eisenhower let us get in there? You think it let it happen, rather?
So that's a great question. So Eisenhower came in later. He was a general. He was in the military at this point. FDR.
Oh, yeah, sure.
FDR. So that is one of the big conspiracy claims out there, folks. Did FDR know about Pearl Harbor and let it happen to get us in the war? Because he wanted us to get in the war, but the American people, the will really wasn't there. And there's books about it, folks. You could find these books. You read what you want. I tend to believe that, But you go, well, you're a conspiracy kook. Okay, guilty as charged. Yes, I am a conspiracy kook. I think FDR. It's so funny with FDR. This guy was president more than any other president. They had to make an amendment after him so they could give 2-term presidencies, because I think he won actually a 4th term. He didn't serve it out though. Truman had to take over. A lot of crazy stuff there. But yeah, I think he was the East Coast elitist, and he was just, he wanted to, he had all these ties to the big East Coast money, and I think they wanted to rev up the war machine, and,
I think that's I think after World War One, I think they had this idea in their head how they could do it. I think they had a plan, and what was it, problem, reaction, solution. I think they created a problem, they waited for the reaction, and they knew what the solution was going to be. So I honestly think it was planned out. I think we benefited a lot getting into that war. Just other things that happened during and after. I think, we benefited a lot. I think it was a plan for us to get in there. Again, just like a 9/11 thing, kind of let that happen. But when it did happen, remember what everyone, even if there was a divide, we all came together and we were like, yeah, let's fucking get them, So I think that was kind of the same sentiment. I think they reused that for 9/11, and it came from World War II. I think they created this problem so they could have a solution to it.
Jesse Ventura's, he's quoted this a lot, which is really cool on his part. With World War I, we had the sinking of an American ship called, I think, Lusitania. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. And then World War II, we had Pearl Harbor. in Hawaii, and then there was a Tonga. I don't know the Korean. I'm not actually sure what happened with the whole Korean thing. Well, maybe we'll come back to that another time. The Tonga Gulf incident, which some say maybe didn't exactly even happen, that got us into Vietnam. And then
every major conflict America's in always starts with another country fucking with our boats. The whole reason we created a navy after the Revolutionary War the Revolutionary War was because they the pirates over there in northern Africa and the Mediterranean Sea.
Oh yeah.
They took one of our boats and we created. And if you look at it, it exclusively says 4 pirates. We made that 2 battle pirates to get rid of them. So wow. I think it's kind of funny that every conflict we are in always happens to involve them fucking with our Navy ships. Just
you
saying.
Scallywags.
It's a little
of you.
Coincidence.
Anywho, I know I'm smiling because I want to have fun, but I might go dark here, folks. And so, Logue, don't take anything personally. To our producers, don't take anything personally. I might get a little fired up today. I don't know. I was rehearsing some of this at home. I was like, I was reliving a lot of arguments I've had before about World War II. So yeah, I think FDR knew it, and I think he was a part of the war machine and the big banking machine that wanted to get behind the war. I really do. And just to back things up a little bit, folks, and again, if you have problems with any of this, by all means, do your own independent research and then get back to us in the views and comments below, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Rumble. Let us know what you think. Maybe there's a good book you've read about World War II or something that explains some of the many questions we're going to bring up today. Because I got a feeling, Logan, at the end of this thing, we're actually, folks, going to have more questions than answers. That's how crazy, to me, World War II gets. So Hitler was this charismatic leader. He's rebuilding all this national pride of the Germans, who are all very beat down, both economically and, of course, just physically. They lost lives in World War I, but their ego is just shattered. But he's pumping it all back up. Then they're starting to go into other countries and wage war. And I think a lot of people just kind of think, well, Hitler just, he would go into these wars and, and they would send Jews off to, concentration camps, and they took their money, took the jewelry, took their, and people aren't really asking the question, where did the money come early on? Where did the money come early on that really pushed this guy out there? Because, you can have a brand, you can have something, but you know what, folks? You need some money sometimes to get it going, okay? You need a little juice to get it going. And that's what really bothers me, because in all my conspiratorial reading, what I've come across is that the Rockefellers Chase Bank out of New York, for example, this is just one example of many, here's the claim, that a lot of New York money, big banks, actually loan money to entities in Germany during the 30s that provided money for the National Socialist Party, the Nazi Party. Yeah. Oh, and what you'll get some of these intellectuals who go, well, at first they started to do some of that, but they didn't know what Hitler was doing, and then once they found out, so you'll get a little bit concession, a little admittance in the academic world, but then they pull back. Okay, no, it's not like they really wanted a big conspiracy, like they really wanted the war to happen, or they really wanted everything to go this bad.
This is bullshit. No bank loans out money. These people ain't stupid. They don't loan out money without knowing what their investment's going to do, if it's going to make it. They don't do that stuff. They knew exactly what was going on. So it's just shitty backpedaling. That's all that was.
I think so too, folks. So a lot of weird stuff there with Chase Bank loaning money to a German chemical and rubber company called IG Farben. And IG Farben was one of the biggest contributors, if not the biggest, to the Nazi Party during the 1930s. There's other companies involved. There's other big, I think Harriman Brothers is a big investment outfit in the New York area back during that time. There's accusations about them. And so supposedly what happened was, after the war in the late 40s, there were people in the House of Representatives who tried to put this into committee and do an investigation, and supposedly the whole thing got squashed. So is that just, conspiratorial, bells and buzzards, or is there something there? You decide, audience, you decide. Like I said, if you got some books or articles or websites, want me to go to, please put in the views in the comments below. I would appreciate that. Logan would appreciate that. But for me, a lot of World War II is a lot of stuff's kind of hyped up. A lot of questions, a lot of things to me don't make any sense. And I'll dive into a little bit. I'll get into some more of the direct details here, Logan. I just want to set the stage just a little bit here. I'm sorry, everybody, if I'm taking a little bit too long. Now, I think Hitler was very charismatic. I am not with this crowd that I grew up with who, and how do I describe it to you? It's not like these people I knew were neo-Nazis or anything, but they, how do you say it? It's like you get in a fight with a bully. Oh yeah, the bully was this big, but then the story goes, oh no, the bully was this big. Okay, I just feel there's a lot of hype about World War II, and then what actually happened, it doesn't quite line up with it, for me anyway. I'm not satisfied. I'm kind of pissed off, okay? And you're going to find this out if you enjoy our show and you come back to the show about all kinds of topics. Because as I promised you over almost a year ago when we first started this, we're not going to leave any stone unturned. In politics, religion, history, ancient architecture, all kinds of fun topics. We're not just doing Trump, Biden, blah, blah, blah. Do a lot of that because it's 2024 and that's what the news of the day is. But we're going to go over a lot of stuff here. So my whole thing is, he was charismatic, but I don't know that he was a great leader. I don't know if he was a great leader. I don't know if he was a great, what you want to say, like military in general. Because, we're told all this stuff, Logan, and I'll let you respond to that. Oh, they're going to take over the world, the Third Reich, and they're coming over, they're gonna, Europe first, and they're coming over the seas, they're going to make us into lampshades, and Again, that's you, that's the hype, that's the crap which is pounded at me as a kid, like, oh, wow, really? Oh, the Nazis. So anyway, maybe you want to get in here a little bit before I keep going, because I got a lot. I
agree. I don't think it's as bad as they say it was. I think, again, I don't think there was a good or bad side. I think there was one side, and it was the ones controlling the war. How much technology came out of this? How many things? How much money was made out of this?
Right.
I think they blew this out of proportion to make it sound like. I think it was an excuse for them to do the things they did. They had new toys, new technologies that they want to use. I think they made the Nazis, again, I'm not sympathizing for them, they were bad and evil, we can all agree on that. But I think it was an excuse to let them do certain experiments. You hear about how they did experiments
Horrible
on children and shit.
Yeah.
Eugenics came more or less from that. So they were given the ability, they were given the finances from both sides, all parties involved were given tremendous amounts of money from, like you said, who? Like Germany couldn't afford this shit, so it had to come from somebody else. I can't imagine it blows my mind just in the numbers of people that died. That many people, even like Japan, 700,000 people died from them. That's a crazy amount of people. I mean, I just can't wrap my head around how big of a number that actually is. That many people were willing to be in the service and die, or rather had to.
Well,
to
right.
Prop up this experiment to gain more knowledge, and look what we've done in previous wars or wars since then. It's the same shit. It's the same way we got into it. Again, if they mess with the boat, we get involved. We're getting better at killing people. We're getting better at controlling the narrative. We're just getting better at doing it. So I don't know. Like you said, there's more questions after the fact than there are going into it.
And I like to bring some of those up. Like for me, what the hell was General Rommel, one of his best generals, wasting time in northern Africa? What was that all about? Was that Raiders of the Lost Ark for reals?
He had a very crazy occult thing, the Spirit Destiny, the one that's supposed to had jabbed and sliced Jesus in. He thought that would give him powers to control the world. The Ark of the Covenant was another one that he wanted to get. There was another one too, another bigger thing he was looking for. Yeah, he was really into this type of stuff to control the world. And to be honest, if you look at any kind of history of what maybe these things actually were, there could be some relevance to maybe not supernatural powers, but more of a bigger reason behind these things, like lost technology type of deal, And we can go down a different rabbit hole one day about the covenant thing. Supposedly there was 11 of them, and they weren't what they say they were, just to hold the commandments. They're actually kind of like a mini power generator, and it's a whole other story. But if let's say that were true, yeah, there'd be a big reason why he would want to find these things. If it was some kind of giant power generator, even if it was like a fucking weapon, you open it up, it was like an atomic bomb from the past, it would be worth having. So is it crazy to think that he was looking for other things? Come on. we do it, let alone just the whole alien aspect of it. So I don't think he was, if the stories are true, I don't think it's as crazy as people might want to make it out to be. I think there was some real relevance of him trying to find, or them trying to find these artifacts, because they could have proved to actually be something useful outside of just being some occult following toy or trinket.
So that's a very interesting topic just in itself. You know, like you say, the Ark of the Covenant and the Spear of Destiny, you call it?
Yeah, I think that's what it was called.
Okay. There's all kinds of ancient artifacts and things that will go down some of that rabbit hole some other time. To me, I look at the whole thing, I go, dude, why don't you just take Saudi Arabia? Why don't you take Saudi Arabia, and that way you're messing with British and United States oil supply. Obviously, America just would start pumping more. But what's crazy is that in the merchant ships, you can go online and you'll find out like less than 1,600 of them were shot or they crashed or whatever. But I don't know if I can get a straight answer. This is a challenge to the kids at home. You got a little trouble with this. So just real quick, there were these dudes, okay? A bunch of them were Greek. And they were these shipping magnates, and they moved a lot of shipping stuff for other people. Well, Aristotle Onassis was a big deal. Later, he became even a bigger deal. He was moving a lot of Rockefeller oil out of Saudi Arabia, and allegedly, and again, if you find something else, please, YouTube, Rumble, wherever, send us something. Maybe go to our Instagram page, look for that. Let us know where I can look for this up. But I don't know if any of Aristotle Onassis' ship vessels were messed with by the Nazis. That seems impossible, doesn't it?
Why?
I mean, you think of all the Nazi subs that were going all over the world. I mean, there's even stories that allegedly there was a Nazi sub off the coast of New York, then one was even the Gulf of Mexico. I don't know what's myth, what's true. I don't know about that. A lot of strange stories there too, where the supposedly Mexico was like pro-Nazi for a little while. I don't want to talk about that. Supposedly Ireland was a little pro-Nazi too, because you think about all the way England had been mean to the Irish for so many years. Mm-hmm. I don't forgive or forget. Anyway, so that always bothered me too. It was like, okay, you're sending Rommel to goof around up here, man, but take Saudi Arabia. Like, there's oil there that mess up the world economy right there. I don't know. So that always bothered me. And then this whole Aristotle Onassis thing, you just kind of, it seems hard to believe, but it's one of those wacky claims that's out there. And so there's other things about Hitler that just kind of bother me a little bit. Now, he said all this anti-Jewish stuff, and I don't know what he called Jews, monkeys and rats, and I don't know. He stirred up all this anti-Semitism, and there had been anti-Semitism before him. Don't get me wrong, folks. Anti-Semitism is something that's been around, for I don't know, thousands of years. He stirred it up in his country. But, ladies and gentlemen, to take the average jeweler, okay, in Berlin or Munich or Vienna or whatever, or Stuttgart, or the guy who runs a delicatessen, or a guy who's a tailor for somebody's clothes, round him and his family up and take him to some concentration camp. Okay, if you believe the Jews are so bad and so awful, yeah, you could take those people, that's horrible, and he did. But what about the richest Jews? What about the most badass Jews in Europe at the time? Oh, wait a minute. They kind of skated. Talking about the Rothschilds and the Warburgs. Look that up, people, if I'm wrong. They had one of the Rothschilds and they extorted, they had him and they got like 20 million for him. And 20 million, I'm sure, was a lot of money back then. It's way more than it's worth today, but like, if you believe this Jewish hatred stuff you're telling people, no. You take those people out. Those are the top. That's the head of the snake. You don't fool around with some guy with a delicatessen, who's got a tailor shop or is making somebody clothes. He's gonna rule the world. He's your bad boy. Something's not right here. See, that's not gonna ever settle right with me. So if you folks if any information you stumble upon about any Rothschilds that were killed or any Warburgs that were killed, please put that in the comments below so I can go and look that up and educate me if you can, because that's something that really bothers me. And then you got the whole England thing. The whole England thing just really bothers me a lot too, because they're telling us, oh, if we didn't stop them, well, you know, they bombed the Blitzkrieg, and then they bombed England, but they never occupied it. You know what I mean? I mean, just, you know, so I don't know, where's Germany? Over here, and then England's just right there. It's just, you know, right there. I mean, I don't know what you. I mean, isn't that? I mean, you know, remember, they were the British Empire, you know, the sun never set on the United Kingdom, you know, because they had South Africa, they had Australia, India, you know, these were the real colonist kids, you lefties in the universities today, colonists. It's almost like they're covering up for England. Like, what the fuck you doing? You know, yeah, Spain was in there, yeah, France, but England was the big one, you know, come on. So, you know, it just kind of bugs me. And let's go a little further. The Nazis come into France. What do the French do? Oh, we won't shut you. Don't knock on our buildings. Take the fucking Eiffel Tower down. Why? Now, my wife loves it. We got it all over the frickin' house. So you guys come over. Sometimes you'll see the Eiffel Towers everywhere. What the hell was that? I mean, you want to conquer. You want to make people bow. Which, hey, sorry to be mean, but Hiroshima and Nagasaki. A fat boy, or fat man, a little boy. I mean, there was a little bit of. How about the royal family of England? I think they did a little damage to part of Buckingham Palace. Never took it out. All those years, the Brits were on top of the world. You're not going to go take out a bunch of their fucking castles just to show them, just to humiliate them? What the fuck is that? You piece of shit. No, you're a liar. People like you, Betchloss. People like you. Fuck you, you piece of... Hitler. Well, okay, Jay, you're getting a lot of hand, man. Oh, what's wrong with you today? No, it's bullshit. And you come back to Tom Cruise again. Scientologist, our favorite Scientologist. No, he made a movie called Valkyrie, and, you know, I don't know what's true or not. It's written like some truth to that. Are you familiar with that at all? No. So there was a group of Nazis that at some point realized this guy is nuts. I'm talking about Hitler. And they didn't like the direction of the war. Oh, by the way, other really stupid ass thing he did, really stupid fucking thing he did. He took on my people. Moron. He made a deal with Joseph Stalin, Uncle Joe, early on. And then he broke the pact and he attacked them. It's like, what are you doing? Mother Russia, the Soviet Union back then, what are you doing? Save them for later. You're going to take over the world, man. I mean, you're going to take the Third Reich will take over the world. We're all going to be lampshades. Okay, leave them for later on. He goes and he attacks them. And then the story goes to the Greeks. Thank you, Greeks, if it's true. The Greeks held off the Italians who were trying to mess with them. Then Germany came to help the Italians with Greece. Like, what are you doing? And that prolonged the Nazis, and then they had to go fight in Russia in the winter, which made, again, even more stupidity. It was a big mistake. And even those black and white films on the Hitler channel with the H, History Channel, yeah, but it's really the Hitler channel, right? They will acknowledge, oh, he made a mistake, and the Germans weren't ready for that. Well, okay, you're supposed to be so brilliant. No. So I don't buy all of it, folks. Okay, I don't know if this guy just had the charisma and didn't really have the general, war planning mind. I don't know. To me, it's a lot that just doesn't add up. So then, moving things along, we conquer them, and Hitler is with his bride-to-be. I think he's probably gay. It's Eva Braun or whatever. And he shoots himself in the head. She takes cyanide, and he takes cyanide and shoots himself or something. And the Russians say that they saw his body, and then these other people say he got away. I don't know if you got any thoughts on that one. We get into this whole crazy thing, and Hollywood did, The Boys in Brazil, and this whole thing of a bunch of Nazis got away to South America. And then, and it's interesting. Joe Rogan's had people on talking about that. I'm not any kind of expert, but I go, well, if there's any truth to that, well, why didn't the United States forces go? Why don't we go down here? Why don't we go down here? And go get them. I'm a little bit like, they're supposed to be, going to take over the world. Then you get a little bit crazy cuckoo stuff, and maybe you can help me out here, but I'm talking too much. There's the Antarctica talk and Admiral Byrd talk.
Oh, I want to take a step back.
Let's take a step.
You want to know why they didn't go down there?
Yeah.
World War II is nothing but again, the winners write history. So where do we get our history from? Well, us, because we won it. All right. So I'd be curious to know what they teach in Germany about World War II. You don't hear too much about that. You think that'd be a big thing?
What they teach in Russia?
Or back then too. Not what they teach now, because the history's already changed. They're slowly changing history in their own country. 50, 60, 70 years ago, I'm sure it's a completely different story than what actually happened then. But I think this was the perfect story. This is a movie. Think of it as a movie.
I know.
Right? So you had the East Coast of our country, the big banks, big business financing this movie. They were producing it, and you had Germany, the perfect bad guys, right? The perfect story arc, right, of a villain. You were down, you got beat up, you were lost the first time, and then you rise up. You bring up very valid questions. Why would they do this? Why would they do that? Why wouldn't they go out to Saudi Arabia? Well, I think honestly, they probably, whoever's controlling Saudi Arabia for the oil, they're probably both ends. Hey, Germany, you want oil? We're going to give oil to the companies that are going to make your fuel. Don't fuck with our boats. All right, fair enough. They don't fuck with your boats. Or again, America financing that shit. The same people that are financing Hitler and his rise are the same ones that are controlling oil for America. So hey, Hitler, we're gonna give you this money. Don't fuck with our boats. Don't fuck with the oil. I think that makes plausible completely as far as Europe and fucking with the Queen. Again, it's a story arc. They just enough to make them look bad and evil, right? That's all it was. That's truly all it was. And the whole Japan aspect of it, I don't even know what to make of that. I'm shocked that Japan was able to do what they did to China for so long.
I know, me too.
You guys had large percentages more people than that little fucking island, and you're telling me you let Japan fucking come in and shit on you?
Yeah.
I don't know if I truly believe all that crap, because how? You had numbers. Even back then you had numbers. So how are you going to let that little fucking island that could only get you through boats? You didn't have mines back then. You could have had a whole line of fucking people lined up on your beach to scare the shit out of those people on the. So it blows my mind that even fucking happened.
Yeah.
But I think it's a story arc. It's the perfect villain story arc of Hitler. They had the means to make him the bad guy. Again, he was the bad guy. I don't think he was a good leader at all. I think he was charismatic and he fit the part. He was an actor. But when it came, that's why bad decisions. If you wanted to take control of the world, why won't you fucking go all the way to the fucking ocean?
Yeah.
That should have been all yours.
Yep.
All of it should have been yours, but yet it wasn't. Again, you want to cut the head off the snake, there you go, fucking take out the oil. Why didn't you? Story. It's not what it was meant to be. I think it's the perfect excuse to have this evil guy do all this evil shit financed by more or less our own country, and like you said, like the people like the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, all these people that had the means to finance this shit and the money to fucking protect themselves. They were in control. So as far as down here, we didn't fuck with them because we didn't give a shit. Now what bothers me with this, we can talk about, okay, how about Operation Paperclip?
Well, this is what I talk about, folks. Now this is one. Now, some of the stuff I said I know is kind of wild and crazy, and there's a lot of speculation, but this is one you can pretty much document. Operation Paperclip, I know there's at least one book, if not several. One book is called Secret Alliance, if you want to check that out. I know Rogan's had a lot of people on this. Or go ahead, I'm sorry.
So we were just America alone, and we weren't the only country. Europe did it as well, Britain and whatnot. But we brought in 1,600 of these.
Russia. Yeah,
and Russia, Soviet Union and America. We split these people. So we took in 1,600 scientists, engineers, weapons experts.
Their finest minds.
Yeah, they're the best of the best. Now, if these people are as evil as they were, and we hear stories about, they're doing eugenics type shit to the Jewish people in the concentration camps. These are the same scientists that we brought over. Why aren't they being held accountable for the any of these Nuremberg trials?
Yeah, right.
And again, if these fuckers all fled down here, why don't we come get them? Well, again, I think it's that evil story arc. It's not as bad as it either wasn't as bad as it was, or again, we were financing this shit, so we really didn't care that much, right? We had to do the dog and pony show for the trials up there, but that was only a European thing. We didn't hold trials over here. We didn't do that. We took these people in. We created NASA. Out of the top engineers, created NASA. You know, a lot of these big companies all this technology came as soon as we brought them over. Bam. You know, we had tech coming out the ass, you know, I mean, the 50s, 60s, 70s, all this crazy shit started happening. As far as Antarctica and South America, you know, again, Hitler had some fascination with going to Antarctica. I don't know the real reasons why. I have my own reasons maybe why, but, you know, you have towns and villages all throughout South America that if you stumble across
with
them,
German names, right?
Yeah, you stumble across them, you think you're in Europe, you know? So it's, again, once they got down here, it didn't matter anymore. This was the focus, right? And after the war, it was Europe with the trials, and that was the focus. And now that's it. You don't hear about it no more. It's all you hear about any of this shit now is just Hitler, not the 80 million people that died in Russia between the soldiers and the famine that went through that country. You don't talk about the 40 million people in China that died, you know, during the war.
Right.
We had several hundred, like 700,000 people. If in America, you know, you had 400,000 in Europe. You know, it was like 3% of the world, 3 to 4% of the world population died just in that one war. You know, it's insane. And for what? For this evil guy who was, I think we can agree, was a shitty military, you know, strategist, whatever.
Yeah.
It was crap.
Right.
Strategist.
Strategist.
There's so many bad things that he could have done to make it much worse that he just didn't. Even in my own mind, I mean, why wouldn't you, again, Saudi Arabia, take out the oil? Why wouldn't you take out the oil? Why don't you take out all of Europe? You could have just went east and just went west and wiped them all out. Why didn't you? Why didn't that happen? You stopped at what? And that you had.
And you should have waited with the Soviet Union. You should have waited. I mean,
or not broke the fucking deal with them because they were a massive might, and they could you could have had them use them to take on America if that was. But no, that wasn't going to happen. Why? Because these guys were financing it.
Yeah, there you go.
Again, the winners get to write history, so it's very hard to sit there and say, "Oh, what happened like this?" Really? Because I find that really hard to fucking believe.
And
that's how it happened.
And Hitler thought that the Americans, allegedly, he thought the Americans were soft. They're all a bunch of partiers. You know,
not to mention, he was a fucking meth head.
Yeah,
the guy was a druggie. He was always amped up on like fucking essentially methamphetamines. I mean, that's what.
And it was so funny. He had dark hair. He wasn't blonde hair and blue eyed.
Yeah.
And he was Austrian too. He wasn't even German. And just like with Stalin, Joseph Stalin in Soviet Union, he was actually a Georgian. I forget where that's at, over here somewhere. But yeah, he's actually a Georgian. He's not actual real Russian either. So kind of funny.
I'm not saying
strange
that
history.
Horrible things didn't happen.
Definitely happened.
I am asking why it doesn't make sense. There's a lot of things that don't make sense. I think Hitler was an actor for the most part. You know, he was an angry person coming out of World War I. He was charismatic. I think they used him as a pawn. You know, they financed him. He was produced. Again, take a step back and look at it as if it was an actual movie. I mean, it
oh yeah, I mean, even more movie-esque.
There's even giant plot holes, just like a movie would have. You know,
sure.
There's lots of shit that don't make sense. There's lots of people.
That's a great way to put it. Plot holes. That's what I've tried to bring up today. Yeah.
You have.
Yeah.
Who had the most to gain? I believe America had the most to gain with our military complex. After World War I think we had a great fucking idea. Hey, this is how we can do more. This is how we can create more control. We can gain more control. I mean, we supposedly bombed Japan, and then they're friends with us, like with no problem.
Okay,
like,
I mean, to this day, Middle Eastern people listen. Now look. No, I've been funny about the war thing. The war song. What's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? Come on, you hippies. Yeah, you hippie dippy people. I mean, think about it. That is one of the craziest things ever. Nobody talks about it. I mean, we bombed Japan. We made them bow, and then they almost were not going to. We said the next one's going to Tokyo. This is the story anyway.
Russia had a huge battle battalion going into northern Japan or northern China to take back. I can't think of the name. The town.
Mongolia?
No, it began with an M though. But they had a giant offensive that was about to fucking really put some hurt on Japan. And considering we just bombed them, they were kind of scared shitless, and they couldn't do it anymore. So they bowed down. Yeah, because of the bombs, but Russia had a big influence on their decision to stop, to surrender.
All I want to say something real quick. I'm not being a smart ass. I know it's going to sound this way, but when you think of the people that hate each other in this world, and how some hate goes on and on, century after century, maybe even millennium after millennium, but the poor Polish people taking it from Germany, taking it from the Soviets. I mean, wow. I mean, they're really forgiving people, is all I can say. The Poles out there. And then the Japanese. We make them bow, and then we went in, and, the Rockefellers were involved in that too. We went in and rebuilt them. Okay, so we were the hand that was feeding. Maybe that was it. But, man, they really got into Western culture. I mean, they still have their own culture over there. But, I mean, they got into baseball, pro wrestling, rock and roll. I mean, they embraced a lot of American things.
I wonder what the population was before and after the war. And what amount of young people died in the war to kind of like erase a generation and reboot it in this American image, to create this.
Interesting, yeah.
To create this more or less another American nation, a territory, we'll call it.
And just to throw some out there, I mean, I got a thing. I like the Japanese. My kid went there. And he actually got thrown out of a store. Did I tell you this before? My kid actually got thrown out of the store. So there is some racism over there for sure. It is a very homogenistic country, meaning most people are Japanese, most people have the same religion, But, they have some tourist areas. And he went to some non-tourist areas, and he went to some stores, and they actually kicked him out. No gaijin. That means foreigner, I guess. No gaijin. They kicked him out of the store. But anyway, I just want to throw that out there. But still, very forgiving. I think Japanese and the Poles, I just got to say, in world history, wow, very forgiving.
It's a crazy story.
It is,
man. I
man.
use story purposely because I think a lot of it's a story. Again, I'm not trying to take away anyone who fought in it and all the horrible things they had to do and see. I just really think it was kind of all for naught. I think there was a bigger agenda at hand, and we were given a story of why we went over there, what we're doing. I mean, it'd be no different than us going to Iraq or Afghanistan.
Well, I think earlier when you mentioned technology, I think you're onto something there, and it's very disturbing.
I think it gave them a reason to do experiments and use weapons, and to have a reason to use this stuff.
And then everybody.
For the Germans to do all this shit, all this evil shit, and then the same fuckers that did the evil shit, we're gonna bring them to America.
Yeah, we need you for rocket propulsion. Yeah, come on over here. We need you to help split atoms over here. Would you get over here? Yeah, we need.
And you're talking earlier about the different banks or whatever financiers that were helping Germany. No one talks about IBM. We're making systems for them to supposedly keep track of what Jews they had in the concentration camp. No one talks about Bear asking the Nazis to send over healthy women so they can do experiments, killing them all, and then say, "Hey, that worked out great. Can you send some more?"
Okay, are we gonna get in trouble now? Are we gonna get in trouble? These are alleged things. Alleged.
You don't hear about Ford. Didn't Ford have a small oil company that supposedly made an additive for German motors and engines and shit like that? You hear these things, and it's hard to say whether they're true or not because it's such a disinformation and the need for the powers that be to hide this stuff.
Well, I agree with you that the war shouldn't have happened. We probably would have less tech today, folks. We might not have those cell phones, for example. But, it's just a scary thing. And then out of it comes what? After all said and done, then, we're going to have the Cold War.
Right.
Now, maybe we'll do a whole show on the Cold War.
Now you get to play with more toys, right?
Play with more toys and more need for more money to go to R&D for the military, and then even a military man. I think a 5-star general, 2-time President Dwight D. Eisenhower, you brought up earlier. He comes on his last thing and he warns of a military-industrial complex.
That you set up?
What, that he's a part of?
Right,
wait, what? You're warning about it?
It's fucked up. It really is.
Wow.
It's fucked up. We let these people, and no one's paying attention. You see that these guys are warmongers. They're in it for profit. They're in it for shareholdings. Come on, fuckers. Like, pay attention.
And here we are today.
That's it. They're doing the same shit. Look, we're financing Ukraine, which aren't they kind of like a little neo-Nazi sect in their own right?
They have some Azov Nazis. They literally are a small group in there, and it's like.
Again, we don't know what's really going on. What's this war actually about? We're talking about some disputed land, really?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Come on. This is all worth it. If we were the good guys in this situation, you think we just walk in there, bring those leaders together, say, hey,
let's
fucking sort it out.
Sort it out.
If you can't,
we're going to call our aid off. Yeah.
And then
there you go. That too.
Well, I mean, we can't finance this anymore. We can. That's what we want. So I think it's the same shit getting rolled over. We're just getting better at refining it, maybe hiding it. Or I wouldn't even say hiding. Now we're just we don't give a shit because we have an addicted population of a fucking 5-minute news cycle. No one gives a shit. I mean, before the show we were talking about, just over general shit. What happened to Diddy? We don't even hear about this fucker no more. You hear more about, about Trump or Biden and him fucking freezing up on stage and shit. We don't pay attention. We forget stuff so easily. So fucking easily. It's sad. Like Taiwan. What about Taiwan? We forgot all about these fuckers. At any moment they're going to be taken over. Are we going to do the same aid that we're doing for fucking the Ukraine for Taiwan? I don't see that happening. The one thing I ever saw Nancy Pelosi do that I somewhat agree with was going over there in defiance of fucking China to go shake some hands. Like, good for you. I'm glad we did it, but the buck stopped there, I guess, because we're not going to send any kind of... And I think they're more important to us as a people than fucking Ukraine, though. I guess Ukraine has big with agriculture. They're big with oil, and they got tons of biochemical labs and shit over there. I mean, there's a lot more there that we don't know about. They're not letting us know. I think we're helping the wrong people. Or stop fucking helping everybody. Back the fuck up. How about we take care of our own country first?
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be great. Anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as you say, Logan, we're what are we, Logan?
We're fucked.
Wish I could argue with him. Wish I had other ideas. All right. Well, please enjoy us here on YouTube, but check us out on Rumble as well, and perhaps look for us maybe on Instagram as well. And this is Controversies of the Day with Logan and Jay. Thank you so much for joining us, and have yourselves a great day.